Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Giovanna. I am the master student representative here, along with my partner, Moyang Zhang. Thank you all for coming to our speaker series today with our guest speaker, Marlena del Hierro. I will introduce Marlena. She is a gerontologist with a Master's of Arts degree in gerontology. She got her degree at San Francisco State University, and she was also a treasurer of GSA, which our school goes to every year. So they're familiar with GSA. She has led organizations. She held a residential care facility for the elderly license, which many of us are interested in. She joined seniorly in 2015 and has been with them ever since. She is now currently a general manager, and works closely with partner agents like our last speaker, with placement helpers, Valerie Amador. And she works on strategies that improve family engagement. So we're looking forward to hearing all about how you do that and the joys and challenges of your work. Please welcome Marlena del Hierro.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here today. I actually, for those of you who are in the gerontology program, I applaud you. That is amazing. If you're not, like, figure it out, get into the program, or I also applaud you for coming to today's conversation just to learn more. So today I'm going to talk about my journey as a gerontologist, what I currently do, what I did do. I'm going to provide you and tell you about some of the challenges that I have faced and what I still face as a gerontologist. And then I'm going to give you some tips that I recommend. So you have to wait till the end so that you get all of the knowledge that I wish I had as a younger gerontologist. So I actually like to start with every type of presentation like this with what's not on your LinkedIn. So you can find me on LinkedIn. Please do. Let's connect. But what are some of the things that you can't find or you know about me on LinkedIn? So the first one is that I am very influenced by my family when it comes to how I ended up in this actual career. What that means is that I think the majority of people who work with older adults or become a gerontologist have some kind of micro experience that has occurred. Mine was, yes, by my family. I was very close to my grandmother, and I decided that, and I realized that it was a hypothesis that many people do not have others such as family or loved ones to support them as they need options. And every day I experience that. And you will experience it in your workplace if you are in the aging industry. The second thing which is somewhat very unique about my career and my path as a gerontologist, is that I went straight into my gerontology master's program after graduating with a bachelor's degree. The majority of people in my program came from other industries. This was a second career path for them. And I did a lot of research into understanding if this is what I wanted to do. And I did research on social work, nursing programs, speech pathology, gerontology, obviously. And again, if you pick gerontology, you're completely different than a social worker, a nurse. They may have some type of emphasis and have experience there, but they are not a gerontologist. And I want to make that really clear, because people who end up devoting their career to this are very rare. And it's a privilege, it's an honor to be able to call yourself a gerontologist. So the last thing is that I love to run. And some of you already know that I live in New York City. I moved here recently. I moved here a week before the city shut down, which was fun. But what I ended up doing, and we all have had to have some kind of transitional period. We still are transitioning through going to conferences that are virtual. And I mean, obviously we're going through a pandemic, but for myself is that I love to run. And so I just ran throughout New York City. But something else about myself is that everything I do is I love my work. I am obsessed with it. And I decided to like figure out how can I gain a following. And so I decided to like do Instagram for a few months and developed a handle running empty streets. And I ended up stopping it within like 3 months, but I was having weekly calls with a good colleague of mine who's an influencer on Instagram. And I just thought it was a fun project because if I know how to figure out how to gravitate to a following and understand algorithms, and obviously you're going to learn what I do in my actual career, which has a lot to do with that, then I can do anything. I can grow a following if I end up wanting to do something on my own, right? My own platform. So that was just something kind of fun that I did. This is a photo from when I was on the Brooklyn Bridge and no one was there. So just a few things about myself. Now going into the exciting portion of today is talking about my master's degree as well as my actual careers that I've had to where I am today. So I did end up going to San Francisco State University for a master's art degree in gerontology. I'm having complete FOMO right now because I did not pick USC, and here I am presenting to all of you. But it was just a calling. It was a gravitation to this program, and a few things that you've already heard about, but a few things that I did do are I was the president of the American College Healthcare Administrators. And I don't know if you guys have that program, but it emphasizes post-acute resources. So after you're hospitalized, what are those types of resources that you could, that are accessible to families or people themselves. And then I was the treasurer of GSA. And so a lot of times those two clubs just work together. And so we would have, I don't know if the majority of you who are you're in education right now. I don't know if you know what you want to do, but I knew that I wanted to work with older adults, but I did not know where in the industry I was going to fall. And I didn't know like where I was actually going to fit within the aging industry because it's pretty large. So a lot of what we did in these programs was just bring in speakers to what we're doing right now for you guys and to try to understand where I could be. And so when I was getting my master's degree, I had internships constantly throughout a variety of continuum care. So I was doing adult day programming. I had internships. I was going to mention, so the age friendly project that I worked on was a very it was an incredible project. I'm very passionate about how the idea of people aging the way they want to age, right? And so the Age Friendly Project was something that I worked on. I was a research assistant doing free work for a professor who then said, hey, do you want to help me on this project for Los Altos and Los Altos Hills? And then it was a paid project that I was like helping out with. And if you guys have researched age-friendly cities, like awesome. If you haven't, you should educate yourself on that because it's really like you could take any of the concepts that the World Health Organization asks to what actually makes a world age-friendly city what it is, and you can bring those types of concepts into any of the work that you do in the aging industry. At the time when I worked on this, the grant project for the Age Friendly City project for Los Altos and Los Altos Hills, there was only 2 cities in the United States that had this recognition from the World Health Organization, and that was Seattle and New York City. So this was exciting. So I did this as well. From that, I got another internship at a senior living community that was paid, right? Like, you kind of try to like figure out where you could be, but also make a living. And I think that's also like important and okay that like we want to do what's right. And we want to do great things and help people, but also, you have to also be able to provide for your living. So I had an internship at Monarch Village. And so this is really where my career took off. And I have a lot of experience in senior living. I worked in senior living. And then I'm going to talk about seniorly in a second. But I worked for 2 different senior living communities. And so the first one was Monarch Village when I was an intern. I was an assistant. I was going and getting lunch for people. Like I was calling communities to get information about how much they were charging, because this Monarch Village is a private pay proper community. It does not take Medicaid or Medi-Cal. And these were all in the Bay Area. I was still living in San Francisco. When I was at Monarch Village, I was, as I mentioned, I was an intern. Then I got hired on. When I got hired on, I developed a call center. So I was like 22 years old, and I was managing like other students to call residential lists to like tell them about Monarch Village. You do what you got to do, and you figure it out, and you build, and you make mistakes, and you grow from them. So from that, I ended up going into activities. So, working with, and also I should mention, Monarch Village was not yet open. So I was working in a trailer watching this community being built, which was also another opportunity that the majority of people do not have until the actual grand opening of the property itself. So I started from the ground up, from an intern, making my way to hourly to then salary. And I was doing activities, and I didn't feel like I was making the best impact I could. And the CEO of Monarch Village, there was like communities from the Bay Area and Southern California, like found out that I was getting a master's in gerontology. Because again, who gets a master's in gerontology? Like nobody except us. And somebody hopefully in this call that's going to eventually go into the program. But he was like, this is amazing. Like, what are you doing in activities? You should be talking to physicians. You should be talking to social workers. And then he put me into community outreach. And I was like doing 23 probably at this time, like talking about what this senior living community could do. And it was a huge career path that I also wasn't making any money. So that's something that I'll talk about at the end, to like realize like your worth, and like to understand how, like where you should, and understand where your salary should come from. And I mean, again, like I wouldn't take anything for granted. It was amazing. So then the worst thing of my life as a 23-year-old happened. I got laid off. So the community ended up selling to another management company, and they laid a bunch of people off. I got laid off, and I thought it was like the worst moment ever. I was like, what am I going to do? And my program director at San Francisco State gave me the best advice ever and said, like, you're going through a breakup right now, and you do not like take any job offers. Like, sit for 2 weeks, get your resume together, finish your thesis, and then go off and like figure it out. So it was the best advice ever, because I would have jumped wherever I could go. And then the 14 days, I reached out to a professor in my program at this community called Age Song, and ended up getting a job right away as like a program director, operational, like I was doing program development in the senior living community because I wanted to learn everything. Then I just kind of took off from this community, this senior living community. I was doing regional work. I was still doing marketing and sales, but sales isn't everything that you do. Like, you'll figure that out. And my style is just more, again, educational. From Age Song, I also licensed some properties. So like that was an experience. If you are interested in RCFE, like I had my certification. And then with that, I was actually licensing a building as well. So learned a lot there, but felt like, hey, I think that I'm looking for, again, something's missing in my career, and I wanted to do something on a bigger macro level than micro. Really important. I love micro. I loved working with older adults. I was doing assessments. I was working with social workers. I was doing a ton. I don't want to bore you with what I was doing, but I appreciated my time, but I realized that I needed to change. I needed to make a bigger impact. And that's when seniorly, so the founder, Arthur Brett Schneider, is a good friend of mine, and I worked with him at my previous job. He reached out and said, hey, I'm developed this business. I think you should join. It was like the right time. I can't believe the timing. Like, visualizing is like, you don't visualize. But he reached out and said, hey, I'm working on something. Are you interested in it? And it's in the technology space. And it was doing what was right for the senior living space in itself. And I've been at Seniorly for almost 6 years now. I am a founding member of the company. So I was the first employee, working with the founders for probably 3 years. And then we hit our third year and we thought like, oh my gosh, we made it, because we could hire another person, but like we really didn't make it yet. We were like still working in Chinatown and San Francisco. And then we were able to grow into a WeWork, and we felt like that was awesome, like free coffee. But we didn't make it. Like we far like did not make it. And so Seniorly, you know about us, great. If you don't, like, we're the best thing on the planet that's ever shaped senior living in itself. I'm obviously biased, but it's true. But if you know about Seniorly, we are a marketplace for senior living. We are transforming the way that seniors find senior living options. It's what we're focused on today, and who knows what's going to happen tomorrow. But we are very focused on the technology pieces of efficiency. And from there, how can we give family searchers autonomy as they search for senior living options? So I don't know if you guys know about a company called Amazon. We are like Amazon for senior living options. You can go on Seniorly and look at all, and this is a national company now. We now help families across the nation. You can even find options in Hawaii. So like, that's like, if you're ready to go to Hawaii, like, why not? But we list all communities. You can see ratings, reviews, you could see pricing. This is all very unique, sadly, in senior living when it comes to online searches. It is very fragmented. It is very frustrating when you are looking for senior living options online. And you're lucky if you come to Seniorly, because then you choose to sign up. So we're an open marketplace. The majority of online platforms usually make you sign up and then kind of blast your information around. Seniorly, I should do this slide. Seniorly is an open marketplace. You can write to senior living communities. So some of these senior living communities manage their listing themselves to provide updated information. And then from there, it's like a matchmaking service for senior living properties. But as was mentioned briefly, like, we do partner with local senior living experts. And if you know, they're essentially like realtors, but for senior living. So there's hundreds of these local experts, and maybe this is something that you want to do later in your profession, which is excellent. So you're doing wonderful things. You're working directly with families. You're helping them find options. You tour with them. You're really helping the family and guiding them, because families do not know how to look for senior living options unless they go to Google senior living and how to look for senior living options, and they come to Seniorly, or they go to another marketplace. But we now have built a marketplace for these experts to be discovered, who have never been able to connect with online searchers. So very unique. These experts are being rated by these family members. We're very transparent. Some of these experts have certifications, so we try to showcase that on our website. So when a family decides to sign up, then we can connect them to these local experts. So I oversee our partnerships at the company. As far as what I've done everything at Seniorly except coding, because I'm not an engineer, but I've done everything. So I used to help support all of our families who reached out to Seniorly. I worked very local in San Francisco at the hospitals to let them know about Seniorly. So when I joined Seniorly, it wasn't even live. Like, you couldn't even find Seniorly. But then once it went live, my role at the time was to let the Bay Area know about who we were. And then from there, we developed a respite program. So it was like that Airbnb style of short-term stays. So caregiver bereavement or support, just respite, where they could then, find a short-term stay at a senior living community for 7 to 2 weeks. So we also developed that at one point. But now, like, the partner agent program is relatively now 3 years old. And, we're every year just like continuing to improve the search, where now families will eventually be able to have their own like dashboard where they could save properties and rate properties from tours. So it's an ongoing project, but we have thousands of families who search on Seniorly a day. We help thousands of families a year. And it's been incredible. So that's where I am currently am. And hope to be there for a long time. And I'm sure like you guys will have questions on that. But now looking at like industry challenges, and what I was faced when I was starting in this industry to what I currently face now. And so the first one is there's minimal knowledge about what a gerontology is. People have no idea that this profession even exists. And hopefully one day we can figure out a platform to like let younger generation to people who are currently in this industry know that they have the opportunity to go and get a master's in gerontology, but no one knows this exists. So you're constantly, as a gerontologist, when you start your career, and if that even is happening right now, when you're telling somebody, hey, this is what I'm studying, they don't know what it is. And so you have to always explain yourself and say, this is the study of aging. And this is the study of aging right now, to who you are, to what your parents, to your, to the current older adults who are utilizing the majority of these services. But there's so much opportunity, so much opportunity. The challenge that I also faced, and I still face to this day, is business skills. And something in my program that was lacked was letting me know that I needed this if I wanted to grow and build the totem pole, get up on the top. And it's unfortunate. It is, but yes, but it is fortunate enough that I've been at Seniorly to where I'm basically getting an MBA. And I know that USC has a program where you can get the dual masters of a MBA and a gerontology masters. And I think that's amazing. I wish that I would have thought of that. And so that's one thing to know, is like business skills are not just sales, it's operations, because everything you do within your day-to-day when you're in the workforce has a set of operations that are needed. It's data analytics. So for Seniorly, a lot of how we make decisions is based off of data. And that is something that is lacked in the industry. Not only in a master's program, it is lacked. Business skills are lacked in senior living and beyond, in the senior care space. And which leads me to, there still are very many traditional models because we lack business skills. And people, I mean, it's hard to say, but like it's the truth. And because it's still relatively, it shouldn't be, but it's still relatively a green industry, which is why we are still stuck in the same traditional models. I love senior living. I was in it for the majority of my career, but you have legislation that is involved, which is very important. But what happens is that you're stuck, and then you have needs after needs after needs that you don't have time to break beyond that and to bring innovation into the property itself. And going to like these traditional models, it's very protective industry. So if you're someone that's like, I have a great idea, it's amazing. You should have a great idea, but people in the industry are going to question you. And that could be for any industry, but specifically for this industry, you have to be ready for that. And that's what I faced at Seniorly when you start a new company, and you happen to look younger. It's like, wait, what's your expertise? And you say, I'm a gerontologist. And that's like usually like, oh, I know what that means, but they really don't know what that means. But yeah, it's a traditional, it's a slow moving industry. It will move because you're going to see a lot of new companies coming about, and there's a lot of hype because of the baby boomers. And we need some young blood. Like, it's just, I am constantly telling my friends in other industries, like, there's so much opportunity. Everything we do revolves around aging, like everything we do. Last personal challenge, which I kind of touched on, is like, you have to start in the bottom. Like I from my colleagues who came from other industries who were a lot more like life experience than me, a lot of their struggle came from this. They didn't want to start from the bottom. They didn't want to start with the lowest salary that you can get. And so I think it's important to be comfortable and to talk about salaries. Like, I don't know if you guys are doing that in your current programs, but you should, because I had no idea. I mean, I'm happy to tell you, I think I started at like 30,000 a year with a graduate degree. I had no idea. Because I thought, I just want to help people. That's what I thought of, until a friend was like, no. I mean, but you have to talk about this. You don't know. And also, to be honest, like, you have to start from the bottom. You have to do the grunt work. If you don't do the grunt work, then how are you going to learn? Like, it's just not going to happen. So, it's a personal challenge, but it's really important to know that it's okay to start at the bottom. Like, it is okay. That's what I did. And maybe, like, there's other people that can tell you something else, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I started at the bottom, and, you got to kind of be faced with the uncomfortable, which I'm going to talk about. So why gerontology? Number one, like, it is a very rare opportunity for anyone. And so if you are a gerontologist or thinking about doing it, excellent. If you almost are a gerontologist, you are rare. And that is, like, it's so, I like, you guys are my people. Like, I don't think people realize that when you meet another gerontologist across the country, you automatically are like soulmates, like in a weird way. Like, you are rare. And so, and you can do anything. Again, like, you can do anything. So the career paths and the opportunities are just, like, about to blow up. Like, we are going to see something incredible happen here. We're waiting, but it's going to happen. And in fact, when you think about the pandemic, like this, what has been a good positive thing is that people are hustling. Like, technology is growing. And for anyone who says, like, technology isn't the answer, like, technology brings efficiencies. And it's not necessarily the answer for everything, but it brings efficiencies. It's never going to be that the love that somebody needs, that interpersonal, that connection. Like, I get that, but you need technology to make things move. So that you're going to be seeing this. And then the innovational companies, a lot of them need your expertise. And again, they don't know you exist, but they need a gerontologist to help them. And then, like, I don't know any gerontologist who's not passionate. Like, that would, like, I would be, like, shocked if I met somebody who said, I'm going to be a gerontologist, and then is actually, like, not passionate about something in this industry. So with, like, passion comes professional success. Like, there's no way that you cannot be successful when you're passionate about something. So this is actually a slide, if you're that I had got, that you guys can kind of take a look. These are all the companies that are within, like, gerontology, from all different types of components. So, like, you can even see end of life planning. Like, there are end of life planning startup companies that are happening right now. Like, and I'm also, like, passionate about palliative care, and, like, we're so lucky to age, like, and we're so lucky to die the way that we want to die. And so, yeah, you have senior living, this is, like, there are so many companies that are, like, and I don't even know, maybe there's a handful of gerontologists that are at these companies. I would be shocked if half of them, there's no way that half of these companies have a gerontologist in them. So there's a lot of opportunity, everyone, like, there is. So I like that slide. And then lastly, like, gonna get to the point, these are some pointers that I think that everyone should just, like, remember. Number one, get a LinkedIn. If you don't have a LinkedIn, great. Make sure, well, if you don't have a LinkedIn, not great. Get a LinkedIn, make it. If you have a LinkedIn, awesome, but make sure it's up to date. I use LinkedIn all the time. It's actually for, like, personal, but also for seniorly. And brand yourself. Like, you should be branding who you are. Like, this is not even gerontology. This is whatever you are in life. Brand who you are and who you want to be. So get a LinkedIn, please. It's also another shock when I hear that somebody doesn't have a LinkedIn. Think business operations. Remember that. Don't think that you're going to move up on any type of career if you don't think business. Like, these companies, a lot of companies struggle because they lack this. So figure out how to be like like data analytically driven, operational driven, like figure it out, but think business. Like these companies again need to survive financially, and how do they do that? Business. Seek out mentorships. I think that it's like, I mean, don't be weird about it. Like, don't say, hey, can you be my mentor? Like, be very casual, be cool, ask to get a coffee, like have a check-in call. Like, but like, look at professionals around you and learn from them, learn from their mistakes, right? That's one of, I mean, they'll like, this is all about like, we would have never been where we were today if we didn't make mistakes. If we didn't feel like when we were 23 and we got laid off, that was the worst moment of our life, right? It wasn't, but you get over exaggerate when you're that young. But yeah, seek mentorships, and then get uncomfortable. This is like huge in my book. Like if you don't feel comfortable doing presentations, it's okay. Who does? Like, get uncomfortable. You will grow. It's like you have a deck of cards, like put them all out there so you can get a new deck of cards. So get uncomfortable. The last thing is try new things. So like, as I mentioned, I did a ton of different things when I was in graduate school, from different internships. If I didn't do those different roles, I would have never gotten to where I am today. I wouldn't have realized like, hey, maybe activities wasn't what I wanted to do, but what I learned how to do was build an activities program. So anyways, and that's all I got today. Like, I have my email there. There's a photo, there's my name. Anyways, I'm happy to take any questions if anyone has any questions.
What an excellent presentation, and so wonderful, amazing information that spoke to me. I don't know about you ladies, but it spoke to me. Does everyone have any questions about anything Marlena talked about, or anything you're curious about as you go through your journey of gerontology?
Yeah, sure. I have a question. So I'm actually really interested in the intersection between like aging and technology, kind of what you're talking about. Like I interned for Revercare, which was like a startup that was at YCOM. So I'm really familiar with the space, but like I'm trying to figure out where to find other opportunities as a gerontologist, because I've been looking at a lot of like the gerotechnologist.com. Like I love that site, and there's so many of them, but when I look at like their careers page, it's hard to find like what exactly role, like what would be a good role that would fit for me. Like as a gerontologist, I've kind of been combining that with like UI UX design, because I'm really passionate about that sort of technology. But just from the gerontologist perspective, like what do you think would be a good role that would fit into these, that I should be looking for in these like startups or tech companies?
Well, amazing that you are into like UX. Like, I'm assuming that also is kind of like product design and like kind of work. Yeah. So that's incredible. And so like, if you're looking at the startup space, that's probably where you should look. Because like, it's all about like, I mean, we're constantly looking at that. Like as an open marketplace at Seniorly, it's all about the experience when a family comes to our site. Right. And from there you have like, where exactly on the site are we going to have more clicks, and where there's going to be longer, timeline for when a family's searching, which pages have a longer search period of time. So you probably are then aware of Aging 2.0. So like, they are an incubator for startup companies. If you're looking to get paid, like, that's great. You should always be looking to be compensated. But if you are like, don't forget about the knowledge that you like. I think when at one of my roles at HSong, I realized what I should be making, right? And I was trying to negotiate, and I just kind of in my head, I was like, oh, but my my boss, who is a professor at the time at San Francisco State, and was just like, she was like the Kelly Clarkson of senior living in my mind. And I was doing the math and I was like, you know what? She's like 30K. Like, that's how I had to think about it. Like, I thought about how much knowledge I was going to be able to have. And that's you can't put a price on that. Right. And so, I think a lot of companies are very open to interns without pay. You never know though. Like, so I would suggest LinkedIn, right? So if you see a company like, so startups are awesome. And like because they're like, they don't know how to they have trouble gaining their customers because it's such a hyper micro, it's a very, it's a relational industry. So then they end up pivoting to trying to get customers from online, right? Like, how do we get families to our site? Because they realize that getting customers from hospitals, from doctors is really hard to do because you can't necessarily scale it. So like, and these newer companies are learning that. I mean, they will learn it or they won't survive. So then they then like pivot towards like, all right, let's focus our efforts on SEO. And that's where then your role would come. So I don't know if I answered your question, but I would suggest if there is like you're looking at the right resources, it sounds like, and if there is a company that you're interested in, like reach out to the founders on LinkedIn. Like, who cares, right? Like, just there and like, be bold, be uncomfortable, like make a risk. Like, what are you going to lose? And I understand, again, money is important, but if there's a chance for you to do free work, like, who's going to pass that off? Who's not going to say yes to that? And you still can learn, and you never know, they might actually have money for you that they'll pay.
Got it. Thanks. And I was just like, I guess my question was like, if I was doing like job hunting and recruiting, like what would be a position that you would look for like on those roles? Like, would you see yourself on the business side? Would you see yourself on like the communication side, marketing side? Like, as a gerontologist, where do you see yourself fitting in these bigger tech companies?
What you want is very, you got to start at the bottom unless you have your own consulting type of company. So I would say like, you can do anything. Like our company was hiring a lot for like customer success roles. And we usually look at those opportunities as like entry roles. And those people, because somebody in customer success who starts an entry role, like doesn't want to stay there forever. Like, they want something more. Like, you always should want something more. And so we understand that at Seniorly, that where it's like, what do you want? Like, any company. So data analytics is big, by the way. Like, if that would actually be something that if they hired for that, like you would learn, because they look at that for conversion, like to what you're interested in. But operations, like, yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry if I didn't answer your question, but it's hard because hiring for something that you're specifically wanting, typically you need a little bit more industry experience, unless you start as an intern for that specific department that you want.
Got it. Thanks.
I could be wrong. I mean, I don't know everything.
Hi, Marlena. Hi. 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 I'm from China, and I have been working in elderly industry in China for almost 8 years in real compliance for retirement communities. Just now you mentioned that there are many agents for the marketing agent for the elderly communities. In America, but in China, many elderly rejected to move into retirement communities, move into elder care home. So it's very hard for marketing agents in China now. Do you have some good suggestion for them? Maybe I want to do this business in China, so I want to.
Oh, like senior living in China?
Yeah. Well, marketing agent,
just marketing in general. Yeah. So I don't have a lot of like personal experience in China, but what I could tell you is that you are a learning hub for the United States because there is a huge aging population there. And I mean, I'm sure you know the history around like the lack of potential caregivers for, you know, those who are older right now. But there is like, I do understand there's a lot of people researching the way that people are aging right now in China. But I don't know I actually have a resource for you that I can send to you after this. I can send to, you know, to the team and they could pass it off. There is a gentleman that I'm connected to on LinkedIn. And he specializes in aging relating topics in China. And he's somebody that you should probably like just follow, see what he's doing. He does tons of topics on it. I think he's lived there before. He's American, but he might actually still live there. But I could send you his name in a resource for you.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions? Well, I appreciate all of the time that you guys all have taken from your election. The debate's going to happen in like an hour. So maybe people are prepping for that as well. But no, I really do appreciate the time. If you have any questions, you can always email me, reach out, and I'm happy to support however I can. And if you're like, as you're exploring, if you have questions about companies and what to look for, like I can also provide any feedback related to that as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Marlena, for coming. And yes, we would definitely reach out to you if we have any further questions. Thank you for providing us your contact information. I asked the ladies if they want to send me their email because I don't have everyone on this call's email. So if you want to send me that, you may want to do that now before we end. But let's all say thank you to Marlena and for a great presentation. We learned so much. Yay. So
thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, Marlena, you were such a great presenter. We want to have you back again.
Thanks everyone. And I hope to stay in touch, and please stay in touch. And I will hopefully, you know, chat with you soon.
Yeah, all the best in everything that you're doing. Thank you so much for providing those resources for all these families that really need you and all these seniors that need you. You're doing such great work, and we want to just show our appreciation for Seniorly and give them all love from USC.
Absolutely. Thanks guys. You guys take care.
Okay. Have a great evening.
All right. Bye. Thank you.
Bye, ladies.